Sri Lanka is once again picking up the pieces. Streets washed out, homes destroyed, and families displaced overnight. Yet, in the middle of loss, we also see what has carried us as a community through every crisis: resilience, community, and the quiet strength of ordinary people. On Kaleidoscope Live Dialogues today, we turn to a story that feels especially resonant at the moment. PaperPlane is a novel about silence, about identity, and the long shadows of conflict, and also about rebuilding, reclaiming, and finding your voice after being fractured by circumstance. Author Nifraz Rifaz is in our studio today. PaperPlane deals with silence as survival. How do you see that playing out in Sri Lanka's response to the floods we've been experiencing?
So Sri Lanka is like a 98-year-old wounded, troubled man or a woman with bandages, plasters all over. That's Sri Lanka, if I compare it to a human. And then there's what I say is very ironic because we kind of unite when there's a tragedy. When there's tsunami, we unite. When there's a bomb, we unite. When there's a disaster, we unite. Like a month ago, we were just fighting with each other. So I think that's Sri Lanka for me, and I think maybe PaperPlane, glides across that.
Is neutrality a coping strategy in Sri Lanka still, or have repeated crises made people just be more vocal and act more bold?
So we look at things, in a different perspective, I guess. So we got wounds; those are not healed because you know why? Because repeatedly we've been sort of exposed to we had a civil war, and then we've got natural disasters. So it's like there was no time for us to sort of heal. And also I think it's because we are also a combination of people from different communities. There are different nuances, layers in between. So because of that, people are they're very silent. They don't want to expose themselves.
While Zed hides his inner turmoil, Sri Lankans show incredible public resilience. Do you see a connection between that private struggle and the collective strength?
I think yes, because within Sri Lanka, I think we're resilient as a nation, right? That's very evident. But again, I could draw parallels between my life because I think as a person I'm very strong, I'm resilient. But also, for example, I'm Muslim, right? Growing up, I want to become an artist, So I studied at Royal College, so we got this art circle. So every year I used to win these gold medals. I was drawing inspiration from George Keat, all these Sri Lankan sort of the paintings and the Sigiriya fresco. So that was normal for me. This one particular uncle came and said, "Nifraz, what are you doing? You're drawing humans with eyes, and you're not God to paint, to create stuff." So as an 11-year-old, I was very impressionable, and that day I stopped painting because I thought that was my gift. Right? And that's how I switched into writing.
So this novel explores displacement. How does that resonate with the thousands displaced now by the floods?
Aren't we all displaced? Maybe, literally and, metaphorically. But I think, again, it's something for us to sort of think. Because, again, displacement, these topics, it's nothing to do with, because you can't expect maybe a government to sort of, fix this. It can't be top down. It has to be bottom up because we are, part of this entire ecosystem. So we have to take agency. We have to take control. I think that's what I've tried to do through this novel, I mean, do I like violence? No. If there's a war, a fight, I'm the type of person who would distance myself. But I realized, okay, this is my gift, storytelling. So maybe through that, I could sort of change perspectives, sort of, make people realize, what's going on, just get them to think a bit.
So your protagonist is forced to confront his past. Do repeated national crises force Sri Lankans to actually confront their old unresolved wounds?
As a nation, we don't spend time to sort of reflect and pause. We just move to the next big thing. And also, I think as a nation, we are very forgetful, and then we just move on, right? We're very resilient, which I think is a great thing. So I've met a lot of diasporic, Tamils, Sinhalese, and also Muslims living in London and also in Hong Kong. So, for example, if this actress called Maitri Ramakrishnan, who appeared in this hit TV show Never Have I Ever. So she's Sri Lankan. I was really proud of okay, my God, finally we got this Sri Lankan on this Hollywood show. But when you watch her interviews, she is very clear. I am not Sri Lankan. I was not born there. I'm Tamil. My parents are Sri Lankan, but not me. I'm Canadian. So I've seen this rhetoric, coming across this Tamil, like the newer generation, right? So they kind of distance themselves from Sri Lanka. But I was like, why? Because you know why? Because they've got anger, right? So they haven't lived in Sri Lanka. They've heard Sri Lanka. They've got this imagination about the country through stories told by their parents. So, there is this sort of dialogue. But I think, through my story, I kind of, try to sort of, answer those questions as well.
Now, Maya pushes Zed to speak his truth. What truths do you think Sri Lanka needs to voice at this point right now?
It's our country, because don't wait for a politician to make the decision. Because you're intelligent, you have a voice, you also got social media now, you got Instagram, you got your followers. Raise your voice. It's a democratic world. You only live once. You use the power of your voice, and be the change you want to be in the world.
PaperPlane asks what it means to be whole. So when you look at Sri Lanka after yet another catastrophe, what does wholeness look like for our country?
I think we should stop, pause and learn, right? Maybe, I think, because rather than uniting amidst disasters, you should have that spirit, throughout. I think that should be our way forward. I think the youth, they're different maybe to our previous generation, because for example, like me, I don't see I don't see you as maybe a Tamil, Sinhala or a Muslim. I see you as a human being. I think that's what the current generation sort of see the world. I think the younger generation, the Gen Zs, the alphas who are who are the little kids playing with the iPhones, I think they're much more smarter. They're well connected. I think they think beyond these boundaries of these geographical boundaries, right? I think they see themselves as global citizens. So I think that thinking would make the shift, and I think that's where literature plays a role, because it kind of change people to help them change their sort of thinking.
You'll find Kaleidoscope across YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. Follow, like and subscribe to stay connected.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Silly